Latavius Murray, I believe, said that they held a players-only meeting this week, and they're 5-4. Easily could be 3-6. Ugly. I was there in Cincinnati. I know what the score was, 24-18. But man, the way Joe Burrow just went right down the field that first drive, it just kind of felt like the Bengals were always in command of this game. And I've heard some apologists, maybe a strong word, but supporters of the Bills' current plight on defense state, well, they've got all these injuries. They're hanging on for dear life. What more can you ask for, giving up 24 points to the Cincinnati Bengals? To an extent, I get it, I guess. It just felt like the Bengals were in complete command. Whatever they wanted, when they wanted it, they got it. And there's nothing more emasculating than that last drive where your offense finally comes alive. The Bills, you score a touchdown, you get the 2-point conversion. Granted, your head coach blew a couple timeouts, one on an idiotic challenge that made no sense at all. But you need to get a stop, right? Like, this is what you live for. Situational football, they practice it more than anybody. If not, pretty dang close. It could be the middle of spring, and Sean McDermott is preparing his team for these moments. And you can't get off the field, right? They run the little, I believe, like a little fake wide receiver screen to Jamar Chase and send a third-string tight end up the sideline. And it's a big gain. Joe Mixon, 3rd and short, runs directly at Von Miller. You're getting nothing out of your $22 million man this year, Von Miller. I get it. He's off the torn ACL. But he didn't have a tackle. I mean, he played 27 snaps and he was invisible. He gave you nothing. I think that there are some major problems with this defense beyond the injuries. They just they couldn't get off the field when it mattered, right?
That is the concern that you see consistently with this defense. Is the biggest gap, the biggest decrease in their rankings is third down defense and yards per attempt in the secondary. They are getting, that's where they've dropped off on those categories. The secondary isn't the same. Those safeties don't have the speed they had. Teron Johnson, as tough as he is, he doesn't have elite speed. And that's what I'm noticing. I'm just noticing a lack of speed in that secondary. That's all that stands out a little bit to me when you just, and I do keep it pretty analytical, and then the tape backs it up when I see it. But the pass rushers, they show up every now and then. I don't see any dominant. There's not a guy up front that week in and week out you have to prepare for as an offense. Like, you're not right now. Nobody's scaring you. Floyd, you know what Floyd is. Von Miller is the guy. If Von Miller was what they thought, or what maybe he still has in him, this is when we'll see it now. This is when hopefully he's a veteran who's getting ready to kick in his professional, where he's at athletically at this point, because you got to do something. He needs to provide something for them. Otherwise, I don't see how their defense gets much better. And not that the defense is bad, Tyler. You got to understand, their defense it's plenty good enough. It's just, it's not as dominant as it has been. And that's the standard. That's what they have, the Mike Tomlin standard that he always talks about. That the standard has been set. Like, that's a good thing, to be spoiled, to have your defense as a dominant top 5 in every category every year. This year, they're not. They're giving up the rushing yards. They're giving up third downs. The secondary is not the same. The rushing defense isn't that far off from the past. I looked at it. It's pretty much the same. It's not that big of a concern.
Matt Milano covered up a lot on that defense, and I think you're just seeing holes
well said.
being exposed and players